29th, 1992 should have been a quiet Wednesday for Joanne Relf of Phoenix, Arizona. Her husband, Richard, had left town that morning on business. Joanne expected to spend the evening with her 11-year-old stepdaughter, Heather.
I came home from work that day, and I was a little late. I'd stopped by the bank. I didn't expect to find anybody at home except Heather. And I came in, and there was a note saying that Heather had been picked up by her grandparents after school, and they'd have her home by 9.
However, Joanne was shocked to discover that her husband's note was little more than a smokescreen. Heather was not at her grandparents'. In fact, she had not even been in school that day.
And then I started looking around. I went to my wallet and discovered credit cards were missing. Checked the clothes closets, and clothes were missing, luggage was missing.
3 years later, Joanne Relf still has no idea what became of her husband or where he took his daughter. Today, Joanne has changed her name and moved to a new city.
You're so numb. I mean, it's so unreal. This always happens to somebody else. It's like a bad TV movie, and it has no commercials, and it never goes off the air. It just stays on and goes on and on. I often think, how dare he?
Heather's mother, Penny Nickel Relf.
Take Heather away from her whole environment, away from her family, and away from school, and subject her to his lies, his hiding, and his lifestyle. How dare he?
Today, Richard Relf is a wanted fugitive, but it has nothing to do with his daughter. At the time he vanished, Relf was being investigated for embezzling nearly $1 million from his employer. Richard Relf was an industrial controls manager who worked for Brown Wholesale Electric Company in Phoenix. Relf oversaw production of his electrical designs and often requested checks from Brown Electric to pay for components.
I need a check for AdTech.
One of his suppliers was an outfit called AdTech.
Okay, when do you need it?
Well, I wanted to go out later on this morning and get those.
This morning? Well, why don't you wait right here and I'll type it up now for you.
The amount is $10,180.
And I do need an invoice for it.
Oh, yeah, I'll remember.
Joanne worked as Richard's bookkeeper and was thrilled by the apparent success of his business.
Here you go, hon.
Thanks.
What you working on?
It's the Winslow Electric Project.
You know, he'd just bring the check home and I'd deposit it.
So where's that bookwork you needed me to do?
Oh, yeah, it's right here.
Well, I had no reason to doubt what he was doing. I mean, he's my husband, and it all made sense. He was doing design, and he did design work.
I need to have a check.
You know, you think, wow, you're pretty successful. This is great. Keep those designs going.
With success came money, lots of it, and a dramatic change in Relf's lifestyle.
I started buying car first, a new car, then a new four-wheel vehicle.
He bought a piece of property up in Cave Creek, just north of Phoenix, and was intending to build a 10,000-square-foot home on it. Invited 60 people over, rented horses for them to go ahead and have a 2-3 hour trail ride, and came back to a steak dinner with a band playing and provided all of the beer and soda that you wanted to drink. It was really quite an affair. I would say it cost several $1,000s to put that on. And, of course, you start to wonder after a while where all that money is coming from.
For 6 years, the money kept rolling in for Richard Relf. Then came the morning of May 20th, 1992.
This is like the 4th check this month.
Yeah, we need the parts.
You know, why don't we just set up an account with them, and that way they can bill us once a month? And we
I've talked to them about it. They're a little mom-and-pop operation. They can't stand a 30 to 60 days float on the money. They need the cash now.
Okay, when do you need it?
I first became suspicious when I asked why we couldn't have an account with AdTech. On the invoices, there was only a name, a P.O. box, no street address, and no phone number, which was very suspicious. that point, I pulled out some canceled checks that were made out to Adtech. I noticed there was no endorsement. There was no official stamp like a business would put on there. It was a handwritten for deposit only and an account number.
It is 319-12322.
Kathy phoned a friend at the bank and asked whose name was on the account.
You're kidding. Richard and Joanne Relf?
At that point, I knew that he had made off with a lot of cash, for which we received no material.
Assistant Manager Larry Mauser confronted Relf that very afternoon.
Rich.
Yeah.
What do you know about a little company called AdTech?
Well, they're one of our suppliers. Get parts from them.
Do you have any idea where they're located?
Well, it's been a while since I've been there, but down south somewhere.
Well, you have any idea who the owners are?
You know, all the times I've been there, I don't think I've met them. No, I can't say I do.
The owners are Richard and Joanne Relf. Give me the keys to the car. You're fired.
I thought he was kidding. I said, you gotta be kidding. This is a joke. He says, no, it's no joke. I was fired. I felt like I had been cheated. Somebody had really cheated me, and I'm not sure. I mean, I think the fact that I felt devastated and used.
Richard Relf remained free while police conducted an extensive investigation. Detective John Stahl dissected the company books and determined that through the AdTech scam, Relf had pocketed more than $500,000. The detective also discovered that Relf had set up a second bogus company.
I found about $238,000 more that had been embezzled. The dollar amount was $817,000 and something. I don't remember the exact, but it was right around $817,000.
While the authorities were preparing an indictment, Richard Relf was busy making plans of his own. Approximately 4 months after he was fired, Relf made purchases and took out cash advances totaling $25,000 on credit cards he shared with Joanne. The next day, he vanished.
The hardest part is probably trying to figure out why he thought it was necessary to do that. Why destroy a family for material things?
Richard Relf is wanted on 2 counts of fraud and 2 counts of theft. In 1994, his former wife Penny was granted custody of their daughter, Heather. Today, Heather Relf would be 14 years old. She has blue eyes, strawberry blonde hair, and freckles across her nose and cheeks. Richard Relf is now 42 years old, 6 feet 2 inches tall, and weighs approximately 300 pounds. Authorities believe that he and Heather may be living in Canada under new identities.